Imagine becoming one of the most famous people on earth, having millions of fans screaming your name, living inside a giant mansion, and changing music forever. That was the life of Elvis Presley. People called him the king of rock and roll. His voice, his dance moves, and his stage presence made him one of the biggest celebrities in history. But behind the fame, behind the smiles, and behind the sold-out concerts, Elvis Presley was secretly fighting battles nobody truly understood. And the way his life ended, it shocked the entire world. Because nobody expected a global legend like Elvis Presley to die alone, in such a tragic way. From a small-town boy to a global superstar before the fame, Elvis Presley was just a normal boy from Mississippi. He grew up in a poor family and had a very simple life. No one could have imagined that this quiet kid would one day become the most famous singer on the planet. Everything changed when Elvis started making music in the 1950s. The moment people heard his voice, the world went crazy. His music sounded different, his style looked different, and his energy on stage was something people had never seen before. Fans screamed at concerts, girls fainted just by seeing him, and everywhere he went, crowds followed him. Very quickly, Elvis Presley became more than just a singer. He became a worldwide obsession. The fame became too big. As Elvis became more famous, his life started changing completely. He was constantly surrounded by cameras, fans, reporters, and security. Every move he made became news. At first, fame looked exciting, but over time, it slowly started destroying him. Elvis barely had privacy anymore. He worked constantly, traveled nonstop, and faced enormous pressure every single day. People expected him to always be perfect, always energetic, always smiling. But behind closed doors, Elvis was becoming exhausted, and sadly, things only got worse. The dangerous lifestyle that changed everything. During the later years of his career, Elvis started struggling with serious health problems. He gained weight, he became weaker, and many people noticed he no longer looked like the energetic young star from before. But fans didn't know the full story. According to reports, Elvis had become heavily dependent on prescription medications. Doctors gave him drugs to help him sleep, drugs to wake him up, drugs for pain, and drugs for stress. Over time, his body started suffering badly. People around him noticed strange behavior. Sometimes he seemed extremely tired. Other times he acted confused. But because he was Elvis Presley, many people ignored the warning signs. Nobody imagined things were becoming this dangerous. Elvis Presley's final days. In August 1977, Elvis was still preparing for more concerts. Even though his health was declining, he continued working. Fans had no idea they were about to lose one of the biggest music legends in history. Then came the final night. Elvis spent time inside Graceland, his famous mansion in Memphis. Everything seemed normal. But early the next morning, something horrifying happened. Elvis Presley was found unconscious inside his home. Emergency services rushed to help him, but it was already too late. The king of rock and roll was dead at only 42 years old. The news shocked the entire world. The moment the news broke, people couldn't believe it. Radio stations interrupted broadcasts. TV channels reported the tragedy nonstop, and fans around the world burst into tears. Thousands of people gathered outside Graceland almost immediately. Some fans cried for hours. Others completely refused to believe the news was real. Because for millions of people, Elvis Presley felt larger than life. A superstar like that wasn't supposed to die so suddenly, especially not at 42. The world was in complete shock, the mystery and rumors. After his death, even decades later, people still talk about Elvis Presley's death. Many fans created wild theories. Some believed the official story was hiding something. Others claimed Elvis had secretly survived. There were even people who said they spotted him alive years later in different places. That's how unbelievable his death felt to the world. When someone becomes that famous, people struggle to accept they're really gone forever. And even today, Elvis Presley remains one of the most talked about celebrity deaths in history. Why Elvis Presley's death still fascinates people today? The story of Elvis isn't just about fame. It's about what can happen when a person becomes trapped by pressure, stress, and nonstop attention from the world. From the outside, Elvis Presley had everything: money, fame, luxury, millions of fans. But behind the scenes, he was struggling more than most people realized. That's why his story still feels so emotional today, because it reminds people that even the biggest celebrities can suffer silently. The lonely life behind the fame. Even though Elvis Presley was surrounded by fans everywhere he went, many people believe he often felt incredibly lonely. Living inside Graceland looked glamorous from the outside, but fame had created a wall between Elvis and the normal life he once had. He couldn't go outside freely anymore. Simple things like shopping, eating in public, or walking around became almost impossible. The bigger his fame became, the more isolated his life started to feel. People saw a superstar, but behind the scenes, Elvis was slowly losing peace, privacy, and happiness. The pressure of always being the king, being called the king of rock and roll, may sound exciting, but that title also came with enormous pressure. Fans expected Elvis to always perform perfectly. Music companies wanted non-stop success. The media watched his every move. No matter how exhausted he became, the world still expected him to entertain millions. And over time, that pressure began affecting both his mental and physical health. Many celebrities struggle under fame, but Elvis was one of the first global superstars to experience that level of non-stop attention 24 hours a day. Sadly, the pressure never truly stopped. The legacy Elvis Presley left behind. Even after his tragic death, Elvis Presley's influence never disappeared. His music still inspires artists today. His songs are still played around the world. And Graceland continues attracting thousands of visitors every year. Many people consider him one of the most important entertainers in history. Because Elvis Presley didn't just change music, he changed pop culture forever. And decades after his death, the world still remembers the legend who became the king of rock and roll. The day the world stopped. After Elvis Presley's death was announced, chaos spread everywhere. Fans gathered outside Graceland in complete disbelief. Some people cried openly in the streets. Others stayed glued to their televisions for hours, hoping the news was somehow false. Newspapers across the world placed Elvis on their front pages. Radio stations played his songs non-stop. And millions of fans mourned the loss of a man who had shaped an entire generation of music. For many people, it felt impossible that someone so legendary could suddenly be gone forever. One moment, Elvis Presley was performing for millions, and the next, the world lost a legend forever. His music still lives on. His fans still remember him. And his tragic death remains one of the most shocking celebrity stories ever told. But one thing is certain, the world will never forget Elvis Presley. Follow for more unbelievable celebrity facts and tragic stories that sound fake, but are completely real